Hi, I'm Phoenix. I use they, them pronouns.
And I'm Eve. I use any pronouns.
And this month on Book Club, we're discussing A Memory Called Empire by Arkady Martine.
Oh my god.
What a blast this book was, by the way.
It was so good. Are you
So
kidding me? I have never sped through a book so fast in my life. It did take me like 4 days, but still I've never sped through one.
I think it took me about the same, actually.
Yeah.
I think it took me about the same, yeah.
It was so fun.
Such an incredible book. I'm calling it now. We're going to do the sequel for this at some point. But it has to be relatively soon.
Yes, please.
Because otherwise I'm just going to want to read it.
Me too. Yes, we definitely should do the 1 to 2nd one soon because, goddamn, I want to know what happens. It reminded me a lot of. I could see why people compare it to Gideon, a little bit.
It's in the same kind of like
reader base.
Yeah, like yes, I would say it's not at all like similar. The vibes are not the same. The genre's not really the same, but I think there's probably a lot of reader crossover.
Yeah, I mean, if you go on Tumblr, there's a lot of them. There was a lot of fan art of both the main character in this and Gideon. It was great.
Mm-hmm.
It was fantastic.
I can imagine.
Yeah. Anyway, I assume I don't actually know what your rating was for this. Should we just jump right in? Oh wait, we should probably say what the book's actually about.
I mean, probably. Yeah. Shall I read the blurb for us? I've even got the book in front of me.
Oh, stunning. Yes, go for it, please.
That's how prepared I am. It's totally not because I've read it 2 weeks ago and can't remember everything.
Oh, no.
Ambassador Mahit Zamare, no idea how you pronounce their surname, is posted far from her mining station home to the Empire's glorious capital. Yet, when she arrives, she discovers her predecessor was murdered. But no one will admit his death wasn't accidental, and she might be next. Mahit must navigate the capital's deadly halls of power while hunting the killer. She must also somehow stop the Empire from annexing her fiercely independent colony. As she sinks deeper into the seductive yet unfamiliar culture, Mahit engages in intrigues of her own, for she's hiding an extraordinary technological secret, one which might destroy her station and its way of life, or it might save them all from annihilation.
Dun dun dun! Dun dun
yeah.
dun! Damn.
I've been saying Mahit. I don't know if it's meant to be Mahit or
in my head.
Pronunciation guides, people.
I know. I would have loved it, especially for this book, because like I'm saying Xander for the guy in her head, and I don't know if that's correct. Okay,
no, I feel like that's definitely right.
That feels right to me. And that's what, because at first I was like, oh god, it's going to be like some sci-fi Xander.
No, I guess
Xander.
Or Iskander?
Iskander?
Iskander? I don't know. It doesn't matter too much.
Is it got
there is
sound?
At the back of the book, there's a list of all the characters, which is helpful. Mm-hmm. A glossary of persons, places, and objects. Very helpful.
Very helpful.
And there's a whole bit on pronunciation of Teixcalaanli.
Yep.
But nothing about how to pronounce the main character's name. So,
which, it feels like an oversight. You could literally just put it next to the people's names.
Yeah.
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 It did. Okay. So the empire in question is called Teixcalaanli.
Yes.
I kept reading it as Teixcalaanli.
That's what I read it as. Teixcalaanli.
But it is Teix. So it's Teixcalaanli.
Teixcalaanli. Feels very like could be a Star Wars character name.
I can see where you're coming from. Yeah.
Give me the sword, Teixcalaanli.
So what did you rate this?
I gave it a 4.75 out of 5.
A 4.75. That's pretty good for an Eve
I
book.
fucking loved it. It was so good.
I gave this a 5 out of 5.
Hell yeah.
I also fucking loved this.
I have the only reason it bumped slightly lower because I have two qualms, and that is it. 2.
Okay. Are we going to get into those, or do you want to just bash them out right now?
Oh, we'll get into them.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll definitely get into them. But
that's fine then.
I'm so happy we found like a 5-ish star this early in the year.
Well, this is what I'm saying, because, you know, we've been doing, like, all right, I guess, sort of.
Yeah.
Like, City of Last Chances, To Winter
Really
Nights was
good.
like, meh, City of Last Chances was good. This is
a lot better, and then
This is, yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. Which is good, but maybe doesn't bode well for the rest of the year.
Well, if we do the sequel, it will.
To be fair,
It might
looking
be
at our
great.
selection for the rest of the year, the next few I'm feeling pretty
skeptical.
good about.
Really? Okay.
Oh. The next two I feel like they're going to be like okay. But then I feel like we've got at least one in there that I'm like feeling really good about.
Yeah, one of them is going to be quite good.
Yeah.
The next one, I'm a mixed bag.
Well, you started reading it.
I know, and I'm like 100 pages in, and I'm a mixed bag about it.
We'll get to that next month.
Next month.
So,
but yeah.
okay, here's, I guess, my one, I don't know if you can really call it a qualm, but the cover, okay, plus the name of the empire made me think there was going to be way more sort of like Mesoamerican, Mayan, Aztec vibes than there were. Right, like, it was there, like, especially with all the stuff about, like, the sun, like, you know, the emperor being, like, like representative of the sun and all that sort of stuff. And it was there, but I thought there was going to be way more of it.
I know what you mean. Yeah. I don't think the description of the throne room was comparable to the cover of the throne room.
No.
Because it didn't really match up in my head. I felt more of like the throne room in the actual book was more of like just like a small dais kind of sitting area rather than this huge. But to be frank,
I much prefer the one on the cover to the thing I pictured in my head.
Yeah, which was literally just like a stone slab that she was sitting on, probably with a little bit stuff.
But I mean, that was entirely my brain, right? Like, I don't feel like anybody told me this was supposed to be super, like, Mayan, Aztec-y, but my brain, I think, thought it was going to be.
That. Yeah. It was very kind of visually traditionally sci-fi, I think. I had a lot of, like, it felt very clean environment was how I was imagining it. Very, like, like, sleek. I'm trying to, like, think of a comparison, but it's not coming to my brain. But yeah, I did feel like one of my qualms, because I'll just launch into this one because it kind of fits in, is that this whole Teixcalaanli was intergalactic empire, huge, and yet the setting felt very tiny, very small, very little.
I understand that, but then I guess there's almost, you could say that's almost like a, I don't know that
design
this is
choice.
necessarily the case, but you could almost say that it's like a design choice sort of thing of like showing how this relatively small place has so much power over so much space. But at the same time, it doesn't feel like that was necessarily something that somebody was trying to deliberately do so much as just... But yes, I know what you mean. The vast majority of the book is set across, I would argue, maybe 4 rooms.
Yeah. Which I didn't mind necessarily because it fits with the story, because that's where she's going to be for the majority of this story. And it just worked because she's an ambassador and can't go really outside. But those rooms did feel teeny weeny, kind of small.
Yes.
Little tiny places. But yeah, that's one of my 2 qualms that I had. Do you have any like favorite aspects of the book? What do you like? Tell me good things.
Okay, so personally, I think my favorite like section of the book was when they go out of the city to like the suburb, and they go to this doctor who is part of like a rebellion, kind of a resistance, maybe a group who aren't happy with the direction the empire is going in. But this doctor has agreed to help Mahit to like reintegrate, kind of, because the whole technological secret thing is that Mahit and Lascelles station that she comes from have this technology they call imago machines, which are basically the memories and experiences of a person just before they die are like recorded onto this machine that they have embedded in their in the back of their head, or like on their spine or something. And then that data is transferred to like a new host who is that person's successor in their job. So Mahit has an imago machine of the previous ambassador to Teixcalaanli, except that it's 15 years out of date because the previous ambassador died while on Teixcalaanli and hadn't been home for 15 years. And so at a certain point during the book, she is able to, with some help, recover the machine from his body.
Yeah.
And then goes to this doctor who is able to implant that machine into her brain stem so that she has Iskander's memories and experiences, and like he's sort of like there in the back of her mind giving her advice about stuff. I really liked pretty much everything from that point on was incredible.
Yeah.
But I particularly liked when she's like sort of freshly integrating with Iskander, and they go back to the city and they end up getting taken prisoner because in the time that they've been away, stuff has gone down. And because a lot of Teixcalaanli society is very much based around like poetry and stuff.
Big fan.
And so as a way to send a message to 19 ads to help her, Mahit and her liaison, Three Seagrass, compose a poem and put it out onto the airwaves, as it were, as something that seems like a relatively innocuous poem about what's going on, but actually it secretly is a message of like, please come help me, I've been taken prisoner by the bad guys, if you could call them the bad guys. There's not really bad guys in a traditional sense, but there's a whole thing about the emperor and his succession, and there's a bit of a succession clash.
The whole succession thing was so interesting because it's like,
loved it.
I love the idea of a society that kind of, in a way, hated the technology that they were bringing from the station, and yet were A-okay with the cloning thing.
Yes.
And wanting the whole plot line of wanting to put the imago machine inside the 6-year-old boy to make him into a basic replica of the emperor.
Yes.
I
so
thought
this is
that
the whole
was
thing.
Amazing.
That Mahit discovers that Iskander had made a deal with the emperor, basically being like, you don't colonize Lacelle Station, and in return I will get you an imago machine so that you can record your life and transfer your life into this new body. Because it seems like the Teixcalaanli have a slightly misunderstanding of how the imago machines work. They seem to think that it's like a direct consciousness transfer.
Yeah.
Instead of like,
it's more like
just like
a memory.
Yeah, it's more like an advisory voice than
Yeah.
like that person now controls your body.
Yeah.
Which is part of the plot, is that like Mahit navigating the few Teixcalaanli who know about it. She's navigating how they understand it and trying to explain what it is without giving away like state secrets, basically.
There was,
which is really cool.
When at the beginning, when they go and see Xander's corpse in the, which was so cool, by the way, immediately being ushered in to be like, yeah, this is your predecessor, and he's just dead on the table.
Yeah.
But 12 Azalea immediately working out that she knew what it was.
Yeah.
Perfect. Stunning. Gorgeous.
He is. It's true.
He was.
Can we talk about 12 Azalea as
Yes,
well,
we
once you're done
can.
with your point?
We
Because
absolutely can. But
my boy.
I loved Xander, or Yzander, I'm gonna go, as a whole character, because the way that we were introduced to him, and then how he shifts to be at the end of Rusia's younger self, and then when she gets the implanted imago in her head of seeing both the younger and the kind of older, almost in a way kind of fighting against each other, but also kind of merging, was so interesting, because it's like different life experiences to different people. But it was just how he changed over time and became a little bit less, maybe a bit more snarky than he originally was.
Definitely. I think
more
he's
of an
a lot less optimistic, a lot less naive.
A bit more...
Because he spent 15 extra years at the Teixcalaanli court.
Yeah.
doing intrigue.
And of course he
And
was in a
being
little...
wildly bisexual as well, shout
that
out.
like little like throuple going on with the Emperor and I still can't remember her name.
19 ads.
19 ads was
I had to look up what an
immaculate.
ads was as well.
I don't know what that is. I don't.
It's like a pickaxe-y type thing.
Oh, stunning. That makes sense for her. I can see that.
Yeah.
But that their whole throuple had me. It was great.
It's incredible.
It was incredible.
I wanted another throuple.
Me too. I was like, oh, he had a throuple. Are we going to get a cheeky little throuple here?
I thought for a moment that
So
we were
did
going to
I.
get a Mahit, 3 Seagrass, 12 Azalea throuple, and it never happened.
Nope. Okay, let's just say he
It should
fucking
have,
died. It should have. And
It should have happened. But yes, 12 Azalea, very sadly, died.
Hyde passed away. Yep.
12 Azalea, who spends his entire time in the book being just the most fantastic guy.
Literally the best man.
I love him so much.
Literally.
He's really funny and really smart, and he like sees right through all this bullshit. He is 3 Seagrass's like best friend.
Yeah. and it was
Only
so
friend,
sweet.
maybe, or
I think
definitely
only
best
friend.
Very long time friends, and he does when they're getting rescued from the like police station, basically after they send out the poem. 12 Azalea sadly gets shot in some crossfire and dies.
Oh my god.
And they have to leave his body behind, and it is heart-wrenching.
Because my dead ass thought he was going to make it.
And
then the
do you know
conclusion
what?
happened and he still wasn't there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, we didn't see him die.
We
He got
didn't see him
shot,
die.
and then they left. And up until the point where in the epilogue it talks about his funeral, I was like, he's not dead. He's not dead.
He's
And
not
then
dead.
He's definitely dead. He's dead.
Like,
He's dead. It's
because
unfortunate, but he's dead.
This is sci-fi. They can have like magical bullet reversal machines, right? They can do that. This is sci-fi. They can just make him live. Oh. But no.
If only.
If only. Put the fucking image on him.
Yeah.
I want more of him.
I spent the entire time entirely picturing 12 Azalea as Lifeweaver Overwatch.
See, I hadn't seen it until you sent me that text.
I mentioned it, and then
since
it just makes so much sense.
Works so well.
Because as well, on like a character level, Lifeweaver Overwatch, he's a brilliant scientist,
Yep.
he's aggressively flirty, he's really funny, and it makes so much
gorgeous.
sense. So
Yep.
that's who he was in my head. Literally
Yep.
he's just Lifeweaver from Overwatch.
It makes so much sense. They fucking killed Lifeweaver Overwatch.
They killed Lifeweaver Overwatch, and I'm very sad about it.
He was so smart. I loved the little tidbit about how smart he was that he tried to get, he tried to get into medicine or something else, but he scored so high in a different one that he had to do it.
Yeah. Yes,
They kind of forced
he
him.
He at one point makes it sound like he failed and wasn't
Yeah.
able to get into medicine. But what it actually was that he could have got into medicine, except that he did too well on a different part of the exam and got assigned to a different job.
I mean, come on.
Hilarious and incredible, and I love him.
How dare... Just give him 2 jobs. He would have worked it out. He would have lived. He took medicine. His whole arc is great. Him knowing and having like different assets around the city was great. Going quickly back to the brain surgery bit, because that was also my favourite bit. I just found that fucking incredible, because I was like, yeah, I'm gonna burn my contact with this person, but this will work. We're gonna do this surgery on you, and it was perfection. Brain surgery. And I think the brain surgery was actually quite insightful to what the society was like, because it was like the idea that I can't remember her name, but the person that did the procedure had a prosthetic eye.
Is it Ten Pearl?
No, isn't Ten Pearl one of the options for Emperor? Or is it? No, it's not. It's something like that.
There's 8 Loop is one of the Emperor
8 Loop,
people.
yeah. See, this is where the name system went.
This
I
is why
love the names
we're
of
very
them.
glad that there's a list at the back.
Thank
Let me
God
check.
for a list.
Ten Pearl. Oh no, Ten Pearl is the Minister of Science.
Ah, yes.
So then who's the doctor lady?
I don't remember. But she had a prosthetic eye, and because of that, I think there was a section that was like she could be a medicine because it was frowned upon because she had a prosthesis. And that was really interesting. As a society, it's not perfect. So she needed to go underground to do her medicine work that she was great at.
It was five Portico.
5 Portico.
She's
Okay.
the mechanic
Gorgeous.
who does the brain surgery.
Gorgeous stuff. Magical.
Yeah. I feel like we should also talk about Three Seagrass.
3 Seagrass is my favourite character.
Three Seagrass is definitely
loved her.
up there for me. 12 Azalea pips her just because I pictured him as Lifeweaver the whole time.
Yeah, you cannot not say
I
that
can't.
man's beautiful.
But Three Seagrass is what
Seagrass.
we're talking about now.
Yes.
Because otherwise we'll just talk about 12 Azalea the whole time. I love Three Seagrass so much.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. She spends the entire book aggressively flirting with Mahit.
Oh yeah.
And then
It's so
Mahit's
good.
like, she's not flirting with me. And Three Seagrass is like, no, I'm totally not flirting with you. And 12 Azalea is like, you're definitely flirting. We
Yeah.
should just kiss.
Yeah. And this when Xander Elder gets implanted,
Yes.
he's like, just kiss her.
Just kiss her.
Are you kidding me?
So yeah, Three Seagrass is Mahit's assigned personal liaison.
Yes.
It is her job to like help Mahit learn how to interact with Teixcalaanli society, and she's absolutely fucking fantastic. I love her so much. She has like a little bit of like a slightly more, I guess, like progressive streak in her. Like it's clear that she is, while not quite so connected to the sort of rebellion resistance as 12 Seagrass is, I think 12 Azalea, sorry. Three Seagrass is definitely she seems to lean towards a slightly more out group of politically.
Definitely.
Than she's not necessarily aligned with the current emperor and his political leanings, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
was a great character.
She's so much fun.
The idea that she's been doing all of this for her own political benefit as well. She had her own set goals throughout this entire thing, and she worked towards that. Good on you. Very good, and you can see what she was going for the entire time. Almost immediately, we learn she likes people from outside the planet.
Like the
Gorgeous.
first time that we meet 12 Azalea, which is not long after we've just met Three Seagrass.
No, like a chapter
and
or
it's
something.
the three of them sneak back into the room with the previous ambassador's body,
Brilliant stuff.
and they basically make Mahit part of like a truth vow
pact.
thing where they all have to they all get to ask one of them a question and like tell a truth.
Yeah.
And during this conversation, 12 Azalea says something along the lines of about Three Seagrass that she likes aliens.
Yep.
Or barbarians.
As it
And
just looks at
Mahit
Mahit.
takes it to mean that like Three Seagrass finds non-Teixcalaanli cultures interesting.
Yep. And not, I find you
What
really
12
sexy.
Azalea is saying is she's really attracted to non-Teixcalaanli people.
She's down bad for you right
She's
now,
down
Maggie.
bad for you and she's only just met you.
Exactly. And yet, it takes us 300
God bless
pages.
Mahit. She does not caught it on.
God, Mahit cannot read a room, you know?
Honestly, it's quite impressive. And
It's
yeah,
very impressive. And yet-
she's clearly quite a shrewd political operator.
Exactly. She knows what she's doing. And yet, that whole pact was fantastic from the offset. I feel like they cut their palms, though. Did they do that?
There's a lot of blood stuff.
There's a lot of blood stuff. Loved it. Yeah. Three Seagrass, just as a person, is just fantastic. I'm going to jump right to what happens at the end.
Yes.
Because I loved the ending. And the fact that Mahit literally says, I'm going to leave now. You go and be a poet like you wanted to be. And because she's a great fucking poet.
Yeah.
Three Seagrass. Because when they were at the big, there was I don't want to say like state ball thing, state dinner, that they were invited to really early on. And there was a poetry contest, and if Three Seagrass wasn't her liaison, she'd be in the contest. And Mahit is like, yeah, you should have been. At the end, you're fantastic at this. Go do that. And it's like, it's so beautiful yet gut-wrenching because...
Yeah.
Because you're obviously great at this thing, but you're going to have to not be together.
Mahit literally says to her, you're too interesting for this job, Three Seagrass. Yeah. You should do what you planned to do when you got it, which is use me as a stepping stone towards vainglorious ambition and get back to being a poet.
Yep. Which, holy shit, man. That was a great line. Oh.
Yeah. We better get more of the two of them in the next book.
I hope so, because I love them a lot. I just think they're very sweet. They obviously care a whole lot about each other.
Yeah.
Right from the offset, Three Grass is down bad. Three Seagrass.
No, I like that. That's a good shortening of her name.
Three Grass.
Yes.
Come on.
She's down bad. And let's face it, so is Mahit.
Too. Yeah. Mahit just needed like a little bit of a second to catch up her own brain to make it like...
She's that
realise.
Like, classic lesbian that doesn't realise a thing.
Yeah. Good on you, girl. It was right there in front of you.
We love to see.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's incredible.
I fucking loved it. Just fantastically written characters done so well. And
I want to talk about 19 Ads.
Yes, please.
So 19 Ads is one of the Emperor's closest advisors.
Yeah. And best pals.
Yes.
Yeah.
And lover.
Oh, yeah.
At times.
Thruple.
She's one of the Izuazua Catlim, which is basically just like a person who's been designated as like a member of the Emperor's like advisory council.
Yeah.
So she is like proper political operator, like really good at her job.
Really
Has
good.
been she? I think at one point it's mentioned that she was offered a different position and was like, no, I like doing what I'm doing. Like I think he tried to make her like Minister for Science or something, or Minister for Information, like basically head spy, and she was like, no, I'm good where I am, thanks. And so throughout the book, she, again, much like Three Seagrass, sort of helps Mahit, but also very much has her own ambitions.
Oh yeah.
But her ambitions are very much keep everything as it is.
Yeah.
Three Seagrass wants to progress. 19 Ads wants everything to stay as it is. She wants the Emperor to stay Emperor. She wants herself to stay where she is. And her main worry is this weird three-pronged succession that the Emperor has set up, where he is dying,
which is silly as
and he has named 3 successors. He's named his oldest friend, which is 8 Loop, who they like grew up together, and she's one of his advisors, and all this. He's named his clone. His
baby clone.
A child. And then he's named this other guy whose name I can't remember.
I don't think he is there a whole lot.
He's mentioned a lot, but I'd forgotten his name. Shit.
I have no idea what his name is.
Oh god, what's his fucking name? Anyway, yes, he's the third one, and this has put the Empire into a bit of a precarious position, because normally there is like a clear succession. Either the new person kills the former Emperor, or does a great act of war against another planet, and is therefore seen as like a representation of the sun and all this shit. And none of that has happened, because the Empire's been in a weirdly stable, peaceful place for a while now. And so there's not been any wars, there's not been any colonial expansion, and there's not been any successful assassinations or murders of the Emperor. And 19 Ads is worried that this is going to go tits up, basically, because the Emperor is going to die. He is like dying. And she is like, when he goes, there's these 3 successors and everything's going to go really badly wrong. And then at the end of the book, during the sort of, there's riots basically, because there's also a 4th guy who is like a military commander.
Lightning. Yeah.
Yes.
Or something like that. Yeah.
It is, yeah.
Yes, nailed it.
He's like a military commander, and he is basically trying to sort of do a coup.
Yeah, basically. But unsuccessfully? Quite badly?
Yes. Yes, his coup does not work.
No.
He coups badly.
He coups badly. He's not got a move
But
that coup.
basically, the Emperor is like, I've kind of fucked up. I put us in this position. I know what we'll do. We'll go and, like, sort this all out. You know, we'll get everything finished off. And Mahit, part of this, has discovered that there's, like, aliens. Like, aliens.
Actual yeah.
Beyond Lascelles Station. And this is the trade that she makes. She's like, you don't invade Lascelles Station, and in return, we'll tell you where these aliens are so that you can basically go and kill them for us. And the Emperor's like, we can use this. Like, this could be a good way to divert the, like, build-up of all this energy. We've got, like, a war to do. We go fight these aliens, and everything will be fine. That'll help, like, calm everybody down. Because, you know, I guess they like war. So they, you know, he's like, goes on live TV, and everybody's expecting him to announce this war, and instead what he does is he goes, yeah, so I've fucked up, guys. I made a mess of this. I'm going to ritually sacrifice myself, and I name 19 ads as my successor.
Yep.
And then he kills himself. He
Yep.
lets himself bleed to death.
Such-
and 19 ads,
so
who
good.
had absolutely no ambition to ever be emperor, is named emperor.
Yep.
And it's incredible.
It's so good. It's such a good
I love
moment.
it so much.
It was such a perfect ending for both his character and knowing he was going to die because of unknown illness and solving the problem of the succession.
Yeah.
He
And
worked
basically
it out
he's like,
so well.
he says 19 ads is in charge. She's going to run this war against these alien people and look after the Empire until my clone, Antidote, is like old enough to like properly be emperor instead of being a 6-year-old or however old he is. And that's, yeah.
I cannot find the name of the fucking third one. I've went through the whole list.
30 Larkspur. I found
Oh, of
it.
course it is.
30 Larkspur. He is the other
one that keeps her hostage for a little bit.
Yes.
Yes. But also, yes.
Yes.
Grand. But also, yes, it was the best ending.
So yeah, there's this whole complicated succession thing, and the Emperor's just like, I've made a mess. What if I just ritually, because this is like a thing, is like, it's not something that's happened in Teixcalaanli for a very, very long time, but they had a thing where they would do like ritual human sacrifice.
Yeah.
In a very specific way, and he does it on himself. He's like, I'm killing myself, and I'm using my blood, because blood is like an important thing to the Teixcalaanli. He's like, I'm using my blood to consecrate this war.
Yeah.
And I'm naming 19 ads as like the war person. She's gonna go do the war, and then my genetic clone will take over when he's old enough.
Yeah.
And it's I think it's just such a fantastic end, and also it works so well for 19 ads' character arc.
Yeah.
She spends the entire book desperately trying to maintain the status quo.
Which is
and
never going to happen.
The Emperor, who is like her lover and oldest friend and all this, is like, hey, fuck you.
Fuck you.
You're the Emperor now.
And the last kind of like moment of defiance of like, I know you want this to stay the same, but absolutely not. And it even funnier, like, because he does it like live streaming, basically. He does it over Twitch. And she's in the frame.
None of them know that that's what he's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's in the frame, and so she has to straight face
to witness it.
She cannot show that this was a shock to her.
Yeah.
It's incredible. I love it. I love it so much.
Such a good moment. They were both such good characters, and I felt so.
And
bad
also, it's
for
like a
both
really fascinating end to him as well.
Yeah.
Because his whole character arc has been, I need to preserve not just my legacy, but myself.
Yeah.
In this clone, like that's what he's all about.
Because he just wants to overwrite
towards the end, Mahit has to eventually be like, look, there is no way, even if I wanted to, there is no way that we can get an Imago machine here in time for
to
you.
do this. Yeah.
and it doesn't work the way you think it does anyway.
Yeah.
But you cannot, like, this is it. You're gonna die. You
You're gonna
cannot be some sort of immortal emperor.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, okay, well, let's go sort this out then. And his way to sort it out is to be like, well, I'm out.
I'm out. Peace. In a way, it was really fun to see that both him and Adze's kind of goal was the same thing until the very last second, where he was just like,
he clearly realised that was not going to work.
Yeah.
And that the best hope for the Empire was 19 ads.
Yeah.
He was like, I can't leave this, because he knows that if he was to name 8-Loop as his successor until the kid is old enough, then that emboldens her faction, and like, you know, and there's all this factional stuff at play. And 19 Az is very much not part of any of the various factions.
Yeah.
The only faction she's ever part of is him.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
she is about
Had his back.
him, and so she's like a neutral party that isn't gonna like upset the very delicate balance of all of these like factions that are at play. And it's so brilliant.
It's so brilliantly done.
By
And, like,
being so determined to not be involved, she made herself the perfect candidate.
the perfect candidate. Honestly, yeah. Because I think you can kind of tell, like, none of them would be a good ruler, any of them, until that moment. Because it's like, one Lightning's, like, kind of attempted usurpation will not work because he doesn't have the backing or the political gain for it. The three heirs, 2 of them would probably vie for control over the child. None of them need it, so she's perfect.
Because I think this was his initial theory, was that he would get an imago machine and be able to take over the child's body, and then he would just have to wait till the body was old enough, and then he could just succeed himself and it would be fine. And in the meantime, he would rely on the other 2 to basically be so focused trying to balance each other out that nothing crazy would happen.
Yeah.
And then One Lightning does a coup, and that really fucks with the balance of power.
Yeah.
And so he's like, that's not going to work anymore.
Yeah. But also, Adze's is very... I had a love-hate relationship with her because... Well, not love-hate. I loved her the entire time. And I just thought she was so interesting. Especially with Xander and stuff. Because when they get that delivery of flowers... But was it originally from her that she gave them to Mahit to try and kill her?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, they're flowers that have been like coated in something poisonous, or they are.
Yeah,
No,
they are poisonous.
It's a message that's been wrapped in these deadly flowers.
Yeah.
And 19 Ads had it wrapped in these deadly flowers with the intention of using it to kill Mahit because she's not Iskander.
Yeah. And she
Basically.
wanted her to desperately kind of be him a little bit.
Yeah.
But
then she's watching Mahit pick up the mail and she stops her.
She washes her hands and
she washes it off the hands and she like saves her life. She literally saves her life from her own assassination attempt.
Yeah.
Because she realised when she was watching that she couldn't go through with it.
Yeah. She's such a complex character in that sense of she knows what she wants, but also it's kind of like she can't at the same time have what she wants. Yeah. I just love that. I just loved it a lot. Amazing character, amazing new emperor, and I cannot wait for the next one to see Emperor Adze.
Yeah.
Yeah. I cannot wait for that. I hope we get the little like transmissions again throughout each chapter, and it's gonna be like from her. That would be great.
I loved this little
They
feature
were so good.
where at the start of every chapter there's one piece of lore basically from Teixcalaanli and one from Lysel Station.
Yeah.
And it starts off being sort of more generic, and then as it progresses, they start to be very, very much like revelations.
Yeah.
like communications between people that are very much explaining what's going on in the plot. And I think that's really funny, because I guarantee that there are people who read this book and read the first couple of those and went, oh, this is just like boring, unimportant lore. I can skip over these. And then skipped over some of the most important bits.
Though I have never been like so attention focused on fucking announcements in my life. Like, they were so interesting because it went from like generic ones, and I think there was a couple that were even like pop culture stuff.
Yeah.
To being like, oh yeah, by the way, there's a coup going on and the streets are rioting and there's fire burning everywhere. And there's also like, oh shit, there's aliens. in a couple of them.
Yeah.
As the first mentions, and they were fantastic. The author sure knows what she was doing with like words, as well as like words. Well, you have to be, but like
such high praise for an author. She knows what she's doing.
She knows
with words.
but like how to format like both the poetry, making the own language, but also crafting announcements to foreshadow stuff that's about to go down.
Yeah.
And showing it from all different angles. That was done brilliantly.
Yeah.
Brilliantly. The names confused me and I loved it. I loved everything about it.
Yeah. It's fantastic. It's such a well written thing.
Well written thing. Damn.
I do those every time I encounter that sort of thing in a book, like the little lore bits, it always makes me feel like playing something like, like Skyrim or something.
Yeah.
And it's like you're picking up all these little bits of like, or indeed Dragon Age. Where you get all these little excerpts of like a letter or whatever.
Or, the book from Varric and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Little personal tidbits. The poetry from all different kinds of people.
Yeah.
Very great.
I just think it's such an interesting bit approach. And I love it. Every time I've seen it done, it's been done really well.
Yeah.
And really helps like flesh out the world.
Mm-hmm. The world building in this was fantastic. I love the idea that a planet can just be one city. It's like a kind of Pangea.
I'm a sucker. I'm a sucker for a city planet. Like Coruscant.
Yeah. Oh yes, exactly.
Coruscant has bonus points because it's like it's also like it's been built up so much that the surface of the original planet is like really deep. Now it's like really, really deep in.
Yeah.
And there's a whole thing, this is totally a tangent, this is not even related to this book, but Star Wars lore. There's a whole thing about how there's a mountain on Coruscant that was like one of the very, very like last bits of the original planet that you could see, and it was like the tallest mountain on the planet. And I don't know if it's still, because obviously, it's grown, but certainly in the High Republic era, there is a plaza where you can go and you can touch the top of the mountain, and that's like not even like the floor zero of Coruscant anymore. Like, so I love a city planet.
Me too. It felt in terms of the book that Lizelle Station and the planet were not that different at all, because it's like they just felt like two countries that were trying to get along in a kind of sense, but kind of because they kind of are. Switching from Star Wars to Star Trek, it felt very Deep Space Nine for Lizelle Station. I kept getting Deep Space Nine vibes from it, especially when we got to like the small little chapters of the people going around on there.
Yes, we had the little interludes.
I am a sucker for an interlude. I didn't realise I was, but then I kind of eat it up because because they don't know what the fuck Mahit is doing, and it's just their like POV. And so I think, was there a time it was as Xander or something was alive still, I think, and that was really interesting. Well, they were sending messages. They were sending messages.
Because the people on the cell station don't know that Iskander's dead.
Yeah.
They suspect he probably is because Teixcalaanli sent out a message being like, we need a new ambassador. But they don't know.
They don't know.
Because they haven't had communication from him for a very long time anyway.
Yeah.
But they assume that he's doing his job because they also haven't been invaded by Teixcalaanli.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, yeah, there is a...
He died of poisoning, but everyone said it was he ate something he was allergic to.
Yes.
Blah, blah, blah.
And it turns out that he ate something that was poisoned.
Yeah. Not so good. Not so good. But I loved those little interludes. They were fantastic.
Yeah.
Also, the just the political intrigue of how they were sabotaging Mahit the entire time was also great.
Yeah, I really liked the like vibes of Teixcalaanli society. I love the whole poetry thing I think that's fantastic.
I
this
can-
idea that
yeah.
like important ideas are communicated through poetry. That
I can so-
like philosophical discussion happens in poetry. It's so much fun.
I can so get why Lizelle Station is really obsessed with Teixcalaanli.
Yes.
And how their entire culture is basically Teixcalaanli culture, but from a distance.
Yes, there's this whole thing where some of the more traditional people on LaSalle Station are worried that Teixcalaanli society
Yeah.
is like really influencing LaSalle Station. It's really interesting. It's this idea that there's like, even though they're not being physically colonized,
Yeah.
they're being like societally colonized.
Yeah,
And that's
their
such an
cultures
interesting thing to
interweaving.
like. Yeah, such an interesting thing to examine and
Yeah.
discover.
I love Mahit's like, oh yeah, we read these books too, but like we have to read them a couple years after they've been released because that's when we get them. I love that whole thing of like, yeah, this is our like bread and butter. We quote this to each other all the time, and I just like Mahit being really into poetry, but like you feels like a kind of outsider on the planet that she adores. Is so interesting
Yes.
because she feels like this big separation between them. Loved it. 10 out of 10.
I also really liked the whole thing where the Teixcalaanli basically call anybody who's not Teixcalaanli a barbarian.
Big fan. Throughout the book,
I just
being
love
like, that these barbarians, you know. And like Mahit edges into it as well because it's like, oh yeah, I can't know this because I'm just a lowly barbarian, you know. Sometime.
Yeah. She at various points plays it up and makes people think that she's being very bumbling and provincial and stupid, when in fact she is definitely not, and 100% knows what she's doing. And I love it because Three Seagrass sees through it every time, and she's like, "You're having fun.
This is.
I can see you. I know what you're doing.
I know what you are."
You're having fun messing about, making people think that you're like not knowing what's going on.
That you're a little stupid, but in fact you're messing with them to reveal more.
Yeah, it's very fun.
Amazing stuff.
I mean, I guess, do you have any other specific points you want to talk about? I feel like we've covered all the bases.
We've covered most of it, I think, which is great. But I have a question just generally. What was your favourite name? Because I loved I'm a big fan of the names.
I do. Firstly, I really love the naming convention that Teixcalaanli have, where the various numbers have different like connotations. Some are considered lucky or whatever, and then the second word, there's like certain words that are okay, and then there's some that are considered quite gauche, right? Like, at one point they talk about somebody who used to be from LaSalle Station and moved to Teixcalaanli to marry somebody and chooses his name, and they make fun of the name he picked because it was like something I can't even remember, but it was something stupid.
I think 6 all-terrain tundra vehicle is a banger.
That was
of a name.
36 all-terrain tundra vehicle.
That's
the
so
one.
good. 36 all-terrain tundra vehicle.
That's
my favourite name.
And Three Seagrass talks about how it's like, that's not how Teixcalaanli names work. Like, it's always like a number and then like one word, and ideally that one word is like, for a lot of people it's like plant-based.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like there's some that are like different types of rocks or stuff like that. Or like, you know, there's one telescope, there's six helicopter. The Emperor is called Six Direction.
Which is such a good name for the Emperor. Six Direction.
Yes, and they have this whole thing about how there's north, south, east, and west, and then there's like they have like a what is it? Is it earth and sky or something? They have as like extra directions almost. So 6 directions, you know. Yeah. Has like
it's
a double.
Really good. Like damn. 9 Flood is another really good one. I was a big fan of that one. 90 Alloy.
I don't know what my favourite would be. Like, out of the names. I feel like I would definitely end up going for something flowery.
Me too.
I feel like I would go for a flower name.
Yeah. I would go along the line of like Three Seagrass and like
Yeah.
that, because I think that would make
Azalea.
most sense. And
There's
it's one of the
5 orchid.
5 orchid would be good.
Yeah. 11
like-
conifer. But then there's also like 18 turbine.
I would love to be something really dumb as well, such as all-terrain tundra vehicle.
Yeah.
Which I think, if I had to do that, it was such a good name. It is such a good name. 7. But then there's a couple of them that are like very medical heavy. Like there was something scalpel.
Yes. Yeah.
6 helicopters, also banger of a name. Loved it.
Yep.
Yeah. Something grass related I would go for. But yeah, that I the naming convention.
It's very fun.
Work.
And yeah, there's I think like 3 is a particular lucky lucky number, I think, and
Yeah.
there's all these specific.
I would love to know more about the conventions of like the numbers.
Yeah.
What is lucky and what isn't and stuff like that. I want to know more about the planet. I think that would be really interesting if we could go a little like actual planet culture a little bit more, know more about it.
Yeah. I wonder if there's a
What would your name be? Thing.
Well, I'm wondering if Arkady Martine has written like a This Is How I.
That would be good. Like
Here we go. So there is a blog post from her
Stunning.
on the Tor blog. So each Teixcalaanli personal name has a number part and a noun part. Both parts have symbolic meanings. Numbers, in general, the number part of the name is always a whole integer, so you can't have a negative, you can't have a fraction, blah, blah, blah.
Damn, I can't be half of an orchid.
Yeah, you can't be like pi or anything like that.
This is my best.
The range
this
of
is my
numbers
first
is
3.4.
almost always between 1 and 100, with lower numbers being more common. Numbers from 1 to 20 are the most common number parts and suggest tradition and normalcy. Think about names like John or Elizabeth or Mohammed, names that lots of people have that aren't unusual choices. 21 to 60 are slightly more unusual but not weird in any way. Just a sort of name that's a little more unique. Think Nadia, Gabriel or Mackenzie. Numbers from 61 to 99 are less common, but no one is really going to blink at them too much. Think Clemency, Ezekiel, Thor. Numbers are over 100 are like naming your kid Apple or Moon Unit.
Love it.
Specific numbers, here we go. So 1 means achievement, aggression, singularity, primacy, solidity. 2 is balance, reflection, liquidity, succession, mirroring. 3, aggression and balance. Think of a pointy but stable triangle.
Love that for
like a
juicy
triangle.
grass. Love it.
Yep. 4 is intellect, broad-based knowledge, evaluation, strategy. 5 for speed or quickness, humanity, diplomacy. 6 for imperial power, ambition, multitasking, associated with the 6 directions of the world, north, south, east, west, up and down.
Yeah.
Teixcalaanli symbolism is full of 6s. 7 for life of the mind, softness, care, security, unbiased evaluation. 8 is twice 4, so intellect applied, good at coming up with solutions. 9 is 3 threes, prickly, difficult, and brilliant.
Nice.
10 for reliability, omnipresence, financial success, if only. 11 for subversion, cleverness, flexibility, and loyalty. And 12, 2 6s, power or authority, ambition but not the dangerous kind, success in money/trade. Interesting.
That's really interesting.
Names in general. The noun part is almost always a plant, inanimate object, or a concept in order of likelihood. So most people are plants, and then inanimate objects, then concept. No animals and no self-propelled inanimate thing. I.e. boat is an acceptable noun, but self-driving car is not.
So all-terrain vehicle is fine.
Honestly, both boat and self-driving car are names that Teixcalaanli people from Teixcalaan, would laugh at. They love flowers. A lot of plant names are flowers and trees. Object names tend to be related to the natural world, so agate or pearl. Astronomical objects or phenomena, moonrise, solar flare. Or common objects, often ones which can be held and manipulated. Tools are highly represented, like adze. Occasionally, object names may refer to architecture. 5 Portugal is only a little bit odd as a name. Something like 2 Pavingstone would be odd, but no odder than a kid named Winston.
2 Pathway.
Concept names tend to be astronomical, mathematical, or scientific.
Okay.
Often the noun part of a Teixcalaanli name is where a use name or nickname is derived from. So 3 Seagrass gets called Reed, 12 Azalea gets called Petal, 2 Cartograph might be Map, 8 Antidote might be Cure.
Oh, that's really cute. I didn't realise that for Petal in that. Oh, that's really sweet.
Yeah.
Oh,
here we go. They have also made a what would your Teixcalaanli name be? So, to find your number, take the number of sci-fi fantasy books you read last year and divide it by 2.
hold on.
I'm working on it.
Me too. Profile.
Right, stats. So, 2024. Stats. And then I won, apparently, 100 last year. So, 50.
So, you'd be 50. Nice. Oh, 18. Okay. 18.
Okay. And then your birthday's in March, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you are a weather phenomenon.
Oh, okay.
I have to be a scientific concept, apparently.
Oh, okay. 18 hurricane, quite good.
Oh, 18 hurricane fucking slaps.
It would be really good.
I'm trying to think of a good scientific concept.
Scientific concept, you could do...
Like, the examples they give are like antidote or gravity.
Oh, okay. You could do portal, I guess, or you could do string, technically. 50 string.
I don't know that counts. What's a good, like
you could do
time.
something astronomy based and be like something star related.
Oh yeah,
that could be quite fun.
Yeah.
Constellation.
Oh, 50 Constellation's fun.
That's a good one.
Yeah. I think I'm more of a constellation than an eclipse, to be fair.
A constellation is like you can like be perceived as many different things all at once. It's very fun.
Now that we spent 10 minutes on a total tangent.
Hey, this is beautiful. I want you to know. So good fucking names we've got.
I'm gonna call you Twisty from now on.
No, I fucking hope you don't.
Anyway, let's talk about the book some more.
Let's talk about the book a bit more. I think I mainly covered what I really enjoyed. I would love to read the sequel. I would really.
Definitely.
I definitely think we should read it.
I've also picked up. Arkady Martine has written another thing.
Oh, okay.
Hang on, I can't remember what it's called. Because I wrote down the other thing, which was very helpful. Thank you, past me.
10 out of 10. Well done.
Literally just wrote the other one. But I knew what I meant. Rose House, it's called.
Oh, okay.
It's actually called Rose/House. Which I think is like a sort of retelling of like, whatchamacallit? The thingy. I think it's supposed to be like is it The Haunting of Hill House?
Oh, like they can't leave the house without a blindfold on.
I think it's sort of like that, but it's sci-fi.
Oh, okay.
I think is the vibe that I got.
Kind of, yeah, for sure.
But I picked it up before I'd even read A Memory Called Empire because it was blurbed by my good friend Adrian Tchaikovsky. So.
Of course it is. Snaps.
So yes, I'm gonna read that, but also I definitely want to read the sequel to this.
Absolutely. Oh my god, I need to read that book now.
Which is A Desolation Called Peace.
Yeah, such a good name.
I am feeling the desolation because 12 fucking Azalea's dead.
I'm sorry, but we didn't witness the funeral. We didn't witness it.
I think we did, Eve.
Fuck. I tried to forget. It was probably on page.
Yeah. Once the city had exhaled enough ceremony and felt more like an exhausted runner, small funerals bloomed like fungi after rain. She wore her best mourning black when she went to 12 Azaleas. There wasn't a body because he donated it to the medical college, which was so like him that it hurt. So there was very definitely...
Medical college. Immortality.
She saw 3 seagrass there and heard her read a poem for 12 azalea. A stark, bleak thing, vicious in its grief. So I think, unfortunately, he's dead. He's dead.
He's all, you're dead, Dave.
That said, if he comes back in the book too, I'm not going to complain.
I think he should get uploaded and become like a ship mind.
Oh, yeah, uh-huh.
Yeah, and then they should go on little adventures, like
I think
in
if I got
Chambers.
uploaded, I'd just be a shit mind. Thank you.
Wow. I don't want to say how much I kind of like smiled there. That was good.
Okay.
I bet that got me.
Let's talk. So, firstly, would you recommend this book?
Absolutely.
And to who? Yes, obviously.
Yes. Once again, weird people who like Becky Chambers.
Yeah.
People who like politics in books, but you don't necessarily need to like it in real life. Sci-fi.
I've said anybody who likes The Expanse.
Real, yes, absolutely.
Or, little bit, Severance.
Absolutely Severance. People who like the video game Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah. Basically, if you've got any sort of brain
shenanigans.
I mean, I am a bear of very little brain, to quote Winnie the Pooh.
That was a good one.
And I loved this book.
Yeah.
So that's my literary quote for the week. Winnie the Pooh.
God.
Yes, if you like The Expanse, or it's got a little bit of Severance in there with the sort of integration stuff going on.
But it's a lot of cyberpunk vibes.
And yeah, cyberpunky vibes. What about books you would recommend to people who liked this one?
Yes.
How many have you got?
I have 3.
Oh, good, because I do too.
Okay, perfect. Yes. Okay.
I'm so proud of us.
So proud of us. We did it. We did the thing. Do you want to go first?
Sure. I'll start with my. I mean, I recommend it, but it's my least favorite, I guess, of the 3 that I'm recommending here.
Oh, okay.
Which was a book that took me a while to read. It's called Exodus: The Archimedes Engine by Peter F. Hamilton.
Yeah.
This was the chunky sci-fi book that I talked about reading at the start of the year.
Yeah.
It's a tie-in to an upcoming video game called Exodus, I think. But basically, the reason that I'm recommending it is because one of the things in that book is that there's a certain group who have things very much like the Imago machines, except they work the way that the Teixcalaanli think they do. Where you... when you die, or before a person dies, they pass their entire consciousness and all of those of all the people in the line before them onto their child, and then when they do that, they die. And so each child has the memories and everything of all of the previous people, all of their ancestors. And they can adopt their personalities temporarily. So if they had an ancestor who was a really good diplomat and they're in a diplomatic situation, they would basically let that ancestor sort of take over a little bit and use their mannerisms and knowledge, bring it to the forefront.
It's a bit like Dax from Deep Space.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all right. It's pretty good.
Is that 1,000?
It's white man sci-fi. It's white man sci-fi.
White man sci-fi.
Cis-het white man sci-fi. It's there's nothing that wildly exciting in there, but it's kind of cool. So,
how many stars did you give that in the end?
4.5, but I'm not convinced.
Not too shabby. Not convinced. It sounds like it might be more of a 3.5.
You have that thing where you've just read the book and you're like, that was good because the end was good.
Yeah.
And so you rate it high and then you come back to it 2 months down the line and you're like, really?
You're like, oh. Yeah.
So February me gave it 4.5 stars. I don't know that April me would, but there we are.
Loose
What's your
right
first
here.
one? totally lost the plot. What's your first recommendation, Eve?
My first, I have 3 quite bangers, I believe, for my recommendations.
All right.
So
Show me up, why don't you?
I will. They're like, one of them is my personal favourite, and I'll start with one of my personal favourites. A Sam for the Wild Built by Becky Chambers. Your classic kind of cozy sci-fi, which I think you'll need after this political crying over 12 million. And we've talked about Becky Chambers before, but Sam for the Wild Built is Panja, something like that. Basically, robots gained sentience and went into the wilderness to get away from humanity. And since then, they've kind of like faded into like urban legend myth. No one really sees them anymore. And humans have now built up this kind of utopian-ish society. And so you follow a beautiful little tea monk who travels around asking what people need, but they experience burnout. I feel that very deeply right now. And so they decide to go into the wilderness to try and find crickets, because they've never heard them in real life before. And they stumble upon a robot. And it's basically them palling around, and it's all about self-worth and how to live your life and all that kind of stuff. And it is so sweet, and I love it.
What it means to have purpose.
Yeah, I just think it's so sweet. And the second book is even better than the first, and I love everything to do about it.
The first book gave me one of my all-time favourite quotes from any book ever, which is, it is enough to exist in the world and marvel at it. You don't need to justify that or earn it. You are allowed to just live.
Yep.
And that shit made me cry, and still does to this day.
I read it recently, and I was like, holy shit, this fucking hurts. I think I reread it every year now since I read it, and I think it's the best thing ever. I love it a lot. And it's like only it's not even 200 pages, and it's beautiful. It's gorgeous. And yes. Yeah. I would recommend that if you'd like.
Yes. That's a good shout.
Yes.
I like how you started off with like a nice cozy. Yeah. All 3 of mine are not what I would describe as cozy.
I think all 3 of mine could be described as cozy.
Well, that's good. We've got a lovely mix.
Exactly.
So, my next recommendation is one that I read not long before I read this, actually.
Oh,
okay. Which is Ancillary Justice by Anne Leckie.
Yeah.
It's the first book in a series. I think it's a trilogy. I think maybe there's a 4th one. Anyway, it's the first book in a series.
Yeah.
And it's all about the main character is basically an AI who used to be a ship, and as one of the ships, they also had like half of or most of the crew of the ship were like bodies that were controlled by the AI. So the AI was the ship and was also each of the individual bodies, and it alternates between like a past timeline where that was the case and a present day timeline where they are down to one body. The ship is gone, all the rest of the bodies are gone, and they have one body left. And that body is out for revenge. Because of what happened to the ship. And so it's sort of like the past timeline sort of explains what happened, and the present timeline is like progressing from there. It's kind of hard to talk about the plot too much without spoiling it, but there's sort of political intrigue stuff in here too, and there's a whole lot of really interesting stuff about gender and like self-determination and all that sort of stuff, which is really cool. And also it turns out, I mean, it's not really a spoiler because it's literally in the blurb, but the bodies that the AI controls were people who so the ship is part of an empire, a space empire, and whenever that space empire expands to a new planet, some of the people who resist the empire are like emptied out and turned into like bodies for the AI to control. And then
What is this called?
it's called Ancillary Justice.
Justice.
And
Thank you.
Lecky.
I'm reading that.
And then those bodies are often the soldiers that are used to patrol the planet that has just been taken over. So people are being like patrolled around by the bodies that they know, but very much not like the people that they knew.
Borg.
It's quite Borgy. There's a Borginess to
great.
it. But it was really good. I gave it 5 stars too.
Oh, and Lecky blurbed this week.
And that's what I was going to say
Arkady
next.
Martine. Holy shit.
Yes, and Lecky has blurbed A Memory Called Empire.
I didn't even realise that.
I think Ancillary Justice are sort of considered quite like modern classic sci-fi. Like it's one of those series that people have been like if you like sci-fi, this is a series you should definitely read. And I agree. For once, I agree. Read them.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
That actually sounds really
They're
cool.
really good.
I didn't know about the body
the first one's really good. I've not read the rest yet, but I'm gonna.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I've written it down. It's going on the TBR. Yes. I love when books do weird shit with like bodies.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Like taking over.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
I like it. My next one is one we've both read. Chilling Effect by Valerie Valdez. Once again, another series I've started and not continued, but I need to get around to it. The second one is staring at me. Mysterious artifacts, lovable characters, all that stuff. It's very comparable to Mass Effect.
Very, yes.
Very, very. I didn't realise until after, and then I was like, oh, this is Mass Effect.
There's a lot of video game references throughout all of them.
There's a lot of video game references, and I like it.
There's Pokemon. There's Smash Bros. Mass Effect.
Big
all
fan.
sorts of bits and bobs. It's incredible.
A lot of pulp culture now.
Yeah.
I really like that. Foul-mouthed captain, like ragtag crew. Very fun. The captain, Eva, Innocente. They basically go on little side quests, kind of, because their sister Mary has been kidnapped by this collective called The Fridge, kind of like a shadowy syndicate, and is holding her hostage. And so she has to go around and get all these kind of like, do all these kind of very suspicious little quests for them to get her back. But they're also, while they do them, they just are a cute little found family. They have psychic cats. It's just very cozy sci-fi. I think it's cozy in a way, while also kind of like, oh shit, there's a gunfight.
I would describe it as cozy.
Yeah, jam-packed weird aliens, great stuff. I liked it a lot. Yeah. Okay, what's your last one? Hit me.
My last one, another one that I've very recently read.
Nice.
I think it was like 2 books ago, in fact.
Nice.
Which is
You
Black
might-
Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse.
Yeah, I saw you.
Yeah,
read
so
it.
we'd
Nice.
we'd had it on the list of possibles for book club since
Yeah.
we started doing this, and I was just like, it's been on my TBR since 2022. I just want to read it. So I read
Yeah,
it. I'm
might
sorry,
as well.
we can't do it for book club
Nice.
anymore. It was
It's
really
okay.
good.
It's all good.
It's fantasy. It's not sci-fi, but it also has a very Mayan Aztec inspired vibe going on, and like political maneuvering and machinations, as well as all sorts of weird crow god bullshit.
Ooh,
Like
okay.
one of the main characters
gods in
is
fantasy.
is a person who has basically been made into the living embodiment of the crow god, and he can talk to
Ooh.
crows and use the crows as weapons. He sends
Excuse me.
flocks of crows to attack people. It's a bit like that shit book that we read last year, where the person had crow powers, but better. The rubbish Alice in Wonderland
Carousel
one.
and stuff.
Yeah, it's a bit like that, except a bit good.
Nice.
And not at all like it, but the power is vaguely similar-ish.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Hell Hell yeah.
I can strongly recommend it. And that's also the first book in a series. So yeah.
Is it a series? I thought it was a
No, there's 3 of them, I think.
Interesting. Oh, damn. Because I remember briefly that it's like about like a prophet in a kind of sense.
Yes.
I can't remember.
He's the crow god guy, sort of.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
I love religious kind of stuff in fantasy.
It's really
I think
cool.
it's really interesting.
Yeah.
Like anything to do with like pantheon magic is really, really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, that has the same sorts of thing as A Memory Called Empire, where at the start of each chapter there's a little lore drop.
Yeah.
It's got the little
Very nice.
lore drops on every chapter, which is great.
I love
So,
lore drop. Yes.
yeah.
Beautiful. Nice.
Again, not cozy. Incredible. But none of these have been like cozy, nice vibes. So, sorry.
I think this. You can tell me if you think this is cozy, nice vibes. Floating hotel.
I would describe it as kind of cozy. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's cozy. The paperback just came out, and I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of it. The sprayed edge of water.
Oh right, if you got a nice.
It's got a good spread. But it's basically the Grand Budapest Hotel in space.
Yes.
Full of a cast of misfits, and no chapter is the same POV, which I struggled with at the beginning, but got really into because I liked the different switching between. We've done an episode on it. It was a great time. Basically, someone or something is happening. There's an intrigue on board, and we're trying to figure out what's happened. It's a declining hotel, and some misfits and bad things and fun and mysteries are happening.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to describe it without being
I feel like
this happens. Yeah.
We did an episode on it, so read
It's a
the
great
book
time.
and then go listen to the episode.
And it's a perfect little segue into what we're reading. Oh
no,
no,
it's not.
no, it's
You
not.
lied, but I
No, it's
knew
not. God
exactly
damn
where
it,
you were
I
going,
lied.
though. That's a good point.
I fucking lied.
Spoilers for June.
Spoilers for
but
June.
we are in June reading Grace Curtis's next book, Idle Fire.
Which I can't remember the title.
But next month, in May,
Yes.
we're reading Faithbreaker by Hannah Kaner, book 3 in the God Killer series.
It's a trilogy we've been reading
Yeah.
for as long as the podcast
Yeah,
has
in
been
fact, I
going.
think it was like the second or third book we did for the podcast was the first
I think
book.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the second.
And so
yeah.
this is oh damn. And this is going to be the conclusion,
Yes.
I believe, to the trilogy. So that's very exciting. I can't wait to talk about it. It's going to be a grand
Yes.
time. I'm skeptical so far, but we're not.
Anything could happen.
Anything could happen.
Just desperately trying to hold on to the idea that it might not be bad, okay? So
yeah.
we'll be talking about that next month. And of course,
We sure will.
don't forget, 2 weeks ago we had our Talking in the Tavern episode for this month,
which is a good one.
where we talked about capitalism and also the Hunger Games.
We sure did.
And where they intersect.
And our thoughts on
Yes,
that.
and of course we'll be doing a Talking in the Tavern in a couple of weeks as well, in May, where we'll be talking about something which one of us will come up with
Sure will.
approximately 5 minutes before we record. Because the best rants are fresh.
Usually that's happens.
Yeah.
Fresh in your mind and freshly happening.
Don't forget to listen to our April Talking in the Tavern, and then our May Talking in the Tavern will be out in a couple of weeks, and then we'll be talking about Faithbreaker in a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us here at the Tavern. Phoenix, where can our listeners find you outside the podcast?
You can find me at Beans and Fungi on Blue Sky and Instagram. What about you, Eve?
And you can find me under Cozy Crow with an S and not a Z on Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky and YouTube.
And of course, make sure that you're following the podcast itself on Instagram at Hearth and Tome Pod, Blue Sky at Hearth and Tome, TikTok at hearth.and.tome, and YouTube at Hearth and Tome Pod to to get updates about when episodes come out, as well as behind the scenes bits and bobs.
Be grand time. Anyway, we shall see you then.
Bye!
Bye!
The music used in this episode was Midnight Tale by Kevin MacLeod through Incompetech.com, licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 4.0 license.